The aquarium is different after dark. Most people only see it during the day when excited kids press their faces against the glass and tourists snap photos of exotic fish. But at night, when the crowds are gone and the main lights are dimmed, that's when you start noticing things that shouldn't be there. My mom's the head of security at Ocean's Deep Aquarium, and she's been doing this job for 15 years. I never understood her dedication to watching empty halls and dark tanks all night. Who would want to steal fish anyway? But when she asked me to shadow her night shift, I agreed. Things had been tense between us since Dad left, and I thought this might help us reconnect. She met me at the employee entrance at 10 p.m., her silver hair pulled back in a tight bun.
Listen carefully, Maya.
She said, handing me a worn notepad.
These are the protocols for night duty. They might seem strange, but they're essential.
I flipped through the pages. Most rules were basic security stuff. Check all doors, monitor cameras, log any maintenance issues. But then I got to the weird ones. 1. Never tap on the glass. The fish are sleeping. 2. If you see ripples in still water, walk away immediately. 3. The dolphin show runs at 2 p.m. daily. If you hear whistles or splashing after dark, ignore them. 5. Count the shark tanks in Section C. There should always be 7. No more, no less. 5. The giant Pacific octopus exhibit is closed for renovation. If you see movement inside, do not investigate. 6. Reflections in the glass should match what's behind you. If they don't turn around. 7. The intercom system is disabled at night. Any announcements you hear are not from us. 8. If you see another guard, verify their identity with the call sign Deep Blue. 9. No staff members are allowed in the touch pool area after hours. 10. If the water level in any tank appears lower than usual, report it immediately and evacuate that section. Mom, what is this? I asked, trying to hide my unease. Are these some kind of joke? She didn't smile.
Maya, honey, the ocean holds secrets we can't explain. Sometimes those secrets find their way here.
She paused, checking her watch.
Stay close to me tonight. Don't wander off.
The first hour was boring. We walked the dimly lit corridors, our footsteps echoing off the walls. The only light came from the soft blue glow of the tanks and emergency exit signs. Most fish were dormant, floating lazily or resting at the bottom of their habitats. Then we reached Section C, the shark exhibit. Mom pulled out her clipboard.
Count them with me.
The tanks?
Yes. Always count the tanks.
1, 2, 3. We counted together. 7 tanks, just like the rules said. But something felt off about the last one. The water seemed darker, more opaque than the others. Mom, what's wrong with that tank? She grabbed my arm.
We need to move. Now.
But...
Maya, listen to me. What did rule number 2 say?
As she spoke, I noticed ripples spreading across the surface of the dark tank. But there was no shark visible, no source of the disturbance. We quickly walked away, but I could have sworn I heard something splash behind us. When I turned to look, Mom yanked me forward.
Don't. Rule 6.
That's when I realized what was bothering me about the tank. In its glass, our reflections were walking away from us, not with us. The rest of my mother's rules suddenly didn't seem so ridiculous anymore. After our encounter at the shark tanks, Mom insisted we check the security office. The small room was cluttered with monitors showing different sections of the aquarium. One screen displayed the touch pool area, now drained for the night. Another showed the closed octopus exhibit, its glass clouded with renovation tarps.
Maya, I need to check something in the maintenance room.
Mom said, adjusting her radio.
Stay here and watch the monitors. If you see anything unusual, use this.
She handed me a bright yellow walkie-talkie.
Channel 3 only. The other channels, they're not safe.
What do you mean, not safe? She hesitated.
Sometimes we pick up voices. They sound like staff, but they're not. Just stay on Channel 3.
After she left, I leaned back in the chair, studying the screens. The aquarium felt bigger somehow, its corridors stretching endlessly on the monitors. In the tropical fish section, something caught my eye. A figure in a security uniform was standing motionless in front of a tank. I grabbed the walkie-talkie. "Mom, there's another guard in Section E." Static crackled. Then her voice came through, tense.
Remember Rule 8. Ask for the call sign.
I pressed the talk button. "Security office to Section E guard, please respond with the call sign deep blue." No response. I tried again. "Guard in Section E, please identify yourself." The figure turned slowly. Even through the grainy footage, I could tell something was wrong with their face. It was too smooth, like skin stretched over glass.
Maya.
The radio crackled. The voice sounded like my mom, but different, distorted.
Maya, help me. I'm in Section E. I'm hurt.
My real mom's voice cut through on Channel 3.
Maya, don't respond. That's not me.
The figure on the screen started walking toward the camera, its movements jerky and unnatural. As it got closer, I could see water dripping from its uniform, leaving dark puddles on the floor. Then the lights in the security office flickered. When they came back on, all the monitors showed the same image. The octopus exhibit. The renovation tarps were gone, and pressed against the glass was a face, my face, mouthing words I couldn't hear. Mom burst into the office, slamming the door behind her.
We need to move. Now.
What's happening?
They're active tonight. All of them.
She pulled out her phone and showed me a message from another guard. Martin. Water levels dropping in Section C. Multiple anomalies reported. Get out now. What does that mean? What anomalies? A scream echoed through the corridors, a horrible gurgling sound that ended in a splash.
The exhibits.
Mom said, her face pale.
They're empty.
I ran to the door and looked through the window. The corridor outside was flooded with ankle-deep water. In the distance, I could see dark shapes moving through the water, dragging themselves forward with long, glistening limbs. Mom, what are those things? She grabbed her keys and backup radio.
They're what happens when you mix deep-sea creatures with things that should have stayed in the dark. We keep them contained in the exhibits, but sometimes...
She swallowed hard.
Sometimes they find ways out.
Why didn't you tell me all these years?
Would you have believed me?
She checked her watch.
It's 1:58 a.m. The dolphin show starts at 2.
But there is no dolphin show at night, I said, then remembered Rule 3. Oh God. Right on cue, we heard whistles and splashing from the main pool area, followed by the sound of audience applause. But the aquarium was empty. We were the only living people here. Mom grabbed my hand.
We need to reach the emergency exit in Section A. It's the only way out when they're loose. But first, we have to go through the tunnel.
The tunnel was the aquarium's main attraction, a long, transparent corridor that ran through the largest tank. During the day, it was beautiful, with fish swimming above and around you. But now, with most of the exhibits empty, I couldn't imagine anything worse. What if we wait here? Mom shook her head.
The security office isn't safe anymore. Look.
I turned to the monitors again. The figure from Section E was in the hallway outside our office, its face now completely smooth and reflective, like the surface of dark water. It raised its hand and pressed it against the camera lens, leaving a webbed handprint on the glass. Behind us, something heavy slammed against the office door. We had no choice. We had to go through the tunnel. The tunnel was worse than I imagined. Emergency lights cast an eerie blue glow through the glass, illuminating the empty tank around us. Our footsteps echoed on the acrylic floor as we hurried through.
Keep moving.
Mom whispered.
Don't look up.
Naturally, I looked up. The massive tank that should have been full of fish and sharks was almost empty, save for dark shapes moving in the shadows near the top. They seemed to follow our movement, like predators tracking prey.
Maya,
Mom grabbed my arm.
what did I just say?
Sorry, I stopped. Something was wrong with Mom's reflection in the tunnel glass. While she was holding my right arm, her reflection was grabbing my left. I pulled away from both. Rule 6, I said, backing up. Reflections should match what's behind you. The thing that looked like my mom smiled. Its teeth were too sharp, too numerous.
Smart girl. Smarter than the last one.
Where's my real mom?
Oh, she's here somewhere. Probably in her office, watching the monitors, wondering why her daughter isn't answering her radio.
It tilted its head at an impossible angle.
We've been watching you both for so long, learning, practicing, getting better at being you.
I ran. Behind me, I heard wet footsteps slapping against the tunnel floor, but I didn't look back. Rule 6, never look back at wrong reflections. I burst through the tunnel exit and slammed the emergency lockdown button. Heavy shutters began descending over the tunnel entrances, but not before I saw the creature's face change, the features melting and reforming into something that belonged in the deepest trenches of the ocean. My walkie-talkie crackled.
Maya? Maya, where are you?
It was Mom's voice, but after what just happened, I couldn't trust it. Prove you're really her, I demanded.
When you were 7, you fell into the touch pool during a school trip. You were so scared, but then a sea star attached to your hand, and you said it was giving you a high five. That's when I knew you'd love this place as much as I do.
I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Mom, where are you?
In the security office, the real one, in the basement. Everything above is compromised. They've gotten better at imitating us, more organized.
What are they?
We don't know exactly. They started appearing 3 years ago after we got that deep sea exhibition. The one with specimens from the Mariana Trench.
She paused.
Maya, listen carefully. I need you to go to the quarantine tank in Section D. There's something you need to see.
Why should I trust you? The other one knew things too.
Because I'm about to tell you something I've never told anyone. The reason your father left wasn't because of his new job. He saw something one night when he came to pick me up. Something in the touch pool. It wore on my face. He couldn't handle it. But you're stronger than him, Maya. You always have been.
The quarantine tank was in the veterinary section, behind heavy security doors. As I approached, I saw why Mom had sent me here. The tank was full, but not with water. Inside were dozens of security uniforms, floating like empty skins. And pinned to the glass was a note in my mom's handwriting. If you're reading this, I'm already gone. They got me 2 hours ago. The real me. The thing using my voice on the radio isn't me. But I knew you'd figure it out. You're smarter than I ever was. In my locker, there's a red notebook. Everything I know about them is in there, including how to stop them. I'm sorry I brought you here tonight. I thought I could protect you, teach you to fight them like I have been. Instead, I put you in danger. But you can end this. Just remember, they can copy our faces, our memories, even our love for each other. But they can't copy our choices. Trust your instincts. And Maya, I love you. The real me always will. The walkie-talkie crackled again.
Maya? Did you find it? The thing I needed you to see?
I turned off the radio. Now I had a choice to make. I could try to escape, leave this all behind like Dad did. Or I could find that notebook and finish what Mom started. Through the glass walls, I saw dark shapes moving in the corridors, wearing familiar faces like masks. They were hunting me. But I was done being hunted. Getting to Mom's locker meant crossing the aquarium again, passing every dark tank and flooded corridor where those things lurked. But I had to know what was in that notebook. I had to understand what she'd discovered. The employee locker room was near the staff entrance, 2 floors up. As I crept through the building, I noticed changes. The water level was rising everywhere, turning hallways into shallow pools. The air felt thick with moisture, like being inside a giant fish tank. I kept checking my phone's camera before turning corners. The creatures couldn't hide their true nature from photographs. That's when I noticed something strange. In every photo, the water seemed to move away from the camera as if it was alive and camera-shy. Mom's locker was number 47. I remembered the combination, my birthday. Inside, under her spare uniform, was a red notebook, water-stained but legible. I started reading. June 15th, 2022. First incident. The night guard reported seeing his own reflection waving at him. Thought it was a stress-induced hallucination. August 3rd, 2022. 3 more incidents. Always at night. Always near water. October 12th, 2022. They're learning. Today, one of them spoke to me using my daughter's voice. Had to implement the call sign system. December 25th, 2022. They're not just copying us. They're taking our memories when they touch us. Each contact makes them more perfect in their imitation. March 7th, 2023. Found something in the Mariana Trench specimens. The water they were preserved in, it's different. It moves wrong, like it's aware. July 30th, 2023. Theory, they're not separate creatures. It's all the same entity, split into multiple bodies. The water is the key. It's their true form. September 15th, 2023. They can be trapped. Salt water binds them, but it has to be from their origin depth. The pressure makes it different somehow. January 1st, 2024. Found their weakness. They can't maintain human form in their own water. If we can get them back into the Mariana water. The last entry was from today. Maya, if you're reading this, go to the deep sea exhibit. The preservation tank still has the original water from the trench. They're drawn to it. They can't resist returning to it. But be careful. They know I discovered this. That's why they took me first. A splash behind me made me drop the notebook. In the doorway stood Martin, another security guard I'd known for years. But his uniform was dripping, and his movements were too fluid. "Deep blue," I said quickly. He smiled, revealing row after row of needle-like teeth.
"We learnt that trick months ago, little fish."
I backed away, clutching the notebook. Where's the real Martin?
"Swimming with the others, with your mother. Would you like to join them?"
His face began to ripple like disturbed water. I threw my phone's flashlight on him. The bright light made him recoil, his features distorting. In that moment of confusion, I ducked under his arm and ran. But the corridor outside was filled with more of them. Staff members, guards, even my own reflection, all moving with that same wrong fluidity. They had been hurting me here.
"No more running."
Not Martin called.
"The water wants you back, Maya. It misses you."
What are you talking about?
"Don't you remember? The touch pool when you were 7. That wasn't a sea star that touched you. That was us, tasting you for the first time. We've been patient, waiting for you to grow, to learn, to become like your mother, someone who could understand us. And now?"
They moved closer, their faces melting together, becoming something ancient and hungry, something that had waited in the dark depths for millennia, dreaming of the surface world. I backed against the lockers, gripping the notebook. Mom had found their weakness. The preservation tank was in the deep sea exhibit, just 2 floors down. But between me and it was a corridor full of monsters wearing familiar faces. Sometimes the only way past monsters is straight through them. I had my mother's research, their weakness, and absolutely no plan. But I did have one advantage. I knew the aquarium's layout better than they did. Growing up here meant knowing every maintenance shaft, every service tunnel, and every backup route.
Last chance, little fish.
Not Martin called, his voice gargling like he was speaking underwater.
Join your mother. Join us all.
I pulled out my key card, the one Mom had given me at the start of the shift. You want me? Come get me. Then I slammed it against the fire alarm. The sprinkler system activated instantly, but more importantly, the emergency drainage protocols kicked in. All over the aquarium, pumps began working to clear the flooded corridors. The creatures screamed, a sound like waves crashing against rocks as their water was pulled away. I ran, not toward the exit, but deeper into the aquarium. The notebook had said they were all part of the same entity. If I could trap even a portion of them in the Mariana water, would it pull the rest back too? Behind me they followed, their bodies stretching and flowing together into a wave of dark water filled with faces and limbs. The sprinklers couldn't drain them fast enough. I reached the deep sea exhibit and sealed the doors, but I knew it wouldn't hold them long. The preservation tank dominated the center of the room, a massive cylinder of pressurized water from the Mariana Trench. Next to it were the regular exhibit tanks, now empty. Mom's notes mentioned a maintenance panel. I found it behind a false wall, a series of switches and valves controlling the water flow. But which one would release the preservation tank? The doors burst open. Water poured in, carrying bodies and faces within it. As it spread across the floor, it began to rise, defying gravity, forming into a tower of liquid darkness.
Clever girl.
It spoke with 1,000 voices, including my mother's.
But did you really think we wouldn't guard our own water? Our own heart?
The liquid tower stretched toward me, sprouting arms and heads.
We've lived in the deepest dark for millions of years, child. Humans think they know darkness? They know nothing. We are darkness. We are the void that swallows light. And now,
I saw my mother's face form in the water, reaching for me.
now you'll understand why the deep calls to us all.
But as it spoke, I noticed something. The water wasn't touching the preservation tank. It was avoiding it, flowing around it in an unnatural way. Mom's notes were right. They feared their own water. I grabbed a wrench from the maintenance kit and swung it at the preservation tank's glass.
Stop!
The creature screamed, but it was too late. The glass cracked, then shattered. Pressurized water from the Earth's deepest point exploded outward. The effect was instant. Wherever it touched the creature's water, the faces within screamed and dissolved. The two waters fought like opposing magnets, but the Mariana water was winning, pulling the creature's essence into itself.
What have you done?
It shrieked, its voices becoming confused, chaotic.
The pressure, we need the darkness.
The preservation tank water was dragging them in, compressing them back into their true form. I saw bodies emerging from the dark water, real bodies, unconscious but alive. The security guards, the staff members, Mom. I ran to her and pulled her away from the writhing mass of water. She was cold, but breathing. The creature made one last attempt, trying to reach us with a tendril of dark water, but the preservation tank's contents had almost fully reclaimed it. As it was pulled back in, I saw its true form in the water, something that belonged in the lightless depths, something that had grown envious of the surface world and our solid shapes.
We only wanted to be like you.
It whispered in a voice like drowning. Then it was gone, compressed back into the heavy water from its home depth. The preservation tank water, now mixed with the creature's essence, drained away through special channels. Channels Mom must have installed when she discovered the truth. The emergency lights came on. Around me, people were waking up, confused and disoriented. Mom stirred in my arms.
Maya,
She whispered.
how long was I?
Just a few hours, I said, helping her sit up. But I found your notebook. I understood. She looked at the shattered tank, then at me.
You trapped it. In its own water.
I had a good teacher. Mom smiled weakly.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner about all of this. I didn't want this life for you after your father left.
Mom, I interrupted. You don't have to explain. I understand now. Someone had to guard against them. Someone had to know the rules. As other staff members began to recover, Mom and I worked quickly. We told them there had been a gas leak, that they had hallucinated everything. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people believe a comforting lie. We spent the rest of the night writing new rules, better rules, ways to prevent this from happening again, ways to guard against other things that might crawl up from the deep. Rule number 1, always work in pairs, because sometimes the scariest thing isn't the darkness or the creatures that live in it. Sometimes it's facing them alone. Mom and I still work the night shift at Ocean's Deep Aquarium. We've installed better safety measures, better containment protocols. The deep sea exhibit is permanently closed, its specimens sent back to the depths where they belong. But sometimes, on very quiet nights, I see ripples in still water. And I remember that beneath every reflection, every calm surface, there might be something looking back, wearing a face it borrowed from the light. That's why we have the rules. That's why we keep watch. That's why, even now, I never tap on the glass. Because the fish aren't really sleeping. And they remember my face,